Okay, it's 5:59 and we have a quorum. And just want to say appreciate everybody being here. We appreciate you taking your time to be here. We, the Planning and Zoning Commission, call this meeting to order on February 7th, 2023. As stated, it's 5:59. Dave, is there anybody with business not on the agenda that would like to speak at this time?
No, sir.
All right. Moving on to item number 1 on the agenda, consideration and possible action on the regular meeting minutes of December 6th, 2022 and January 3rd, 2023. So we've got 2 sets of minutes.
I was not at the December 6th meeting, so I'll let someone else make a motion on it.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from December 6th and January 3rd.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? The motion passes. All right, item number 2, consideration and possible action on proposed canopy signage for the Simmons Bank ATM located at 14340 Liberty Street in the Historic Preservation District.
Members of the commission, you have seen this one a couple times before. At the December 6th meeting, the commission asked them to revise 2 things. One was to change the background color to match the color of the canopy, which I believe they've done. The other was to change the ATM letters from red to black, which they showed to have done as well. You have to answer any more comments or questions that you have.
Just wanted to confirm, looking at the drawings and the measurements, that it looks like nothing changed. The letter size did get reduced. The sign is 12 inches, but the letters are 9-inch, and the logo looks to be just over 10 inches. So nothing changed on that, correct?
As far as I can tell,
Yeah.
it's the same.
Yeah.
My only question was the rendering showed on 2 sides. Is it going to be on all 4?
It would be on all 4.
Okay. But they did everything they asked. I don't have any other complaints.
I move to approve
I was gonna
the
move it.
sign. Oh, you want to say more?
No, go ahead.
We've seen it, we've talked about it.
Yeah.
I'll second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? The motion passes. And I'll just mention, that was a good example of us really working together. I know there was a few opinions on that whole thing. Appreciate we got to this point, and it's a good end result, so thank you all. Item number 3, consideration and possible action on proposed signage for the slice of Amish located at 401 College Street, Suite 170 in the Historic Preservation District.
Members of the commission, this sign was a sign that had gone up last month. Someone on our staff saw it. I think the code enforcement officer had seen it, stopped in and let them know that, hey, like your other sign, this would be one that has to be approved by the P&Z. I do not see them here tonight, anyone from the shoe shop here. But they were the one email address that I did not have either, so let them know. But we had told them when they turned it in that, what their meeting was. And so it looks to me like it's a visibility sign. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any thoughts or questions that you have on it.
How's it attached?
It looked like it was just screwed into the, just a wood screw through the metal.
Is it wood, cardboard, metal?
Metal.
I hate to be the sign person. But we had, it looks like we had just gotten control of the banners downtown. I know they have the cheese place, and I know H1's going to have the same thing. They don't have the large facade up above where they can do their name. But I think a sign like that needs to be characteristic with the rest of the street there, similar to the Stugmont, where they're not so far down, but across maybe a little bit further. I went there, I went there this morning and measured, or either put the lettering up on there, the structural beam. There's 12 to 14 inches there that they could put lettering across that if the owner would let them do that. Or the hanging shingles like the Stugmont building has, and maybe not that way, but this way.
Right.
So it doesn't block so much of the building, and it looks like a banner or just a piece of plywood up there being painted. Something a little bit more
Historic
character
character with our downtown.
Exactly. Yes, and I took a good look at it on the way over, and, we see what their point is. They're trying to advertise from a distance.
Oh, I understand
And
that.
we understand that. I think the sign they've got now is really well done, but it's so transparent, you don't really pick it up. But I can see why they want to do something else, but I agree. A couple things that might help is reduce the size and put a nice frame around it.
Well, that's what I'm saying, something like the knit shop or where
Exactly.
those are.
Yeah, it's right next door there.
Keep everything
Yeah.
cohesive, because if not, we're going to get in that point where we're going to have a gamut of signs across, is that McCowan, and throughout.
Right, and especially when it's hanging when it's out from the building, when it's hanging like that, just like the ones next door, but they're smaller. Now, the other thing, the option is when you're at the height of the street on 149, you can, if they put it above the second window over, the big window, you can still see it. If they could have it on the building, but still it has to be reduced a little bit.
Right. But I mean, you're really not going to get that much street presence from 149. I mean, I took a picture and put the lettering up on and I don't have that with me, everything went haywire this afternoon, and photoed in lettering across the top on the main beam.
Yes. If they
You
could get
can
permission.
see it from middle of Larry Jacobs parking lot. I mean, it's not going to be a 149 advertisement, but it may give them a little more visibility.
Just as you're driving in, it's easier to see.
Because I know they are handicapped, have to have their sign back underneath the canopy.
Yeah, that would be ideal if they could get permission to put it on that.
Well, if that's what, but I'm saying either that way or spread it across this way further.
So the feedback would be to where where it's shown in the photo, we want to change from that, whether it's on the fascia of that being.
Whichever way he would like to do it, depending on the owner of the building.
Right.
If he's allow them to, even like the Stugmont, get the raised plastic letters to stick up there.
Right.
Or whatnot. That's something, they'll have, since he is not here tonight, he'll have to come, they'll have to be, because I don't feel we need to have, the sign that he had there is copacetic with the rest of the downtown to make everything look a little more appealing.
It doesn't look finished at all.
No.
Didn't they have a window
Yeah.
sign or something in the
I
window?
thought it lit
To the
up.
right, it's to.
Of the light.
Well, they've got a nice trend, it's kind of a clear loose side, to the good side, 4x4, to the right
Of the
to
door.
right side.
Okay.
On the
But,
wall.
I feel like if this doesn't have the business name on it, maybe it should be hung perpendicular and, so it's not so, I don't know, this is not advertising the business, it's I don't know, it's not a business name on it, right? So,
Well, like even on the other side of the tree, I even put, what's it called? What is it? The slice of
Yeah, slice of Amish,
You know,
yeah.
they could put that across the top.
One thing, you could, and again, I wish they were here, I don't know if traditionally, if the orange, if the yellow and black is because it's an Amish cheese thing, if that's the color. I mean, that kind of jumps out too.
Yeah. I mean, it could be a black and white like the Studemont or whatever color they, scheme they come up with. Maybe the yellow is because of cheese, I don't know.
Yep.
I guess my point was, if you have a business name that faces the street, that's already your signage, right? And this is more advertising, I mean, cheese or open, or, you know, so it should face a different plane. Like, it should be on a different plane than,
Well, the problem is, if they put it on the plane, it's the only place to put it is back underneath that canopy.
yeah, and I certainly don't think that should be larger than
Oh,
the actual.
no, I'm saying,
Yeah.
no.
No, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But this does seem to be larger than the
Oh,
window
it is large,
signage.
yeah,
so-
it's large, that's
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
if it's a
Cut it
secondary
down.
sign, then it
You know,
needs to
12
be,
inches or 12 to 14 inches,
yeah.
like the people here. So I guess that's something we'll just have to come back on.
What I'll do is I'll take the direction to go meet with them and just, you know, discuss some of the points that the commission has mentioned and
Yeah.
repackage it and bring it back.
Yeah. And, you know, I don't know, does the historical district have they don't have a group anymore?
The HMBA
No.
project, no.
Okay. Does the city have anybody that kind of corresponds with the business owners in the historical, or no?
I don't do it on a regular
Okay.
basis, but probably on
Okay.
the,
I would suggest for those people that are back there, because I know advertising and exposure they don't get because they're not on 149. If they approach MEDC or the city council to see if they can put a sign up at College and Caroline, similar to the one that they have, that Westmont has in front of their building, that has the store's names that are back off the main road.
right. We're starting a wayfinding project.
Pardon?
So the city's, or the EDC is sponsoring a wayfinding signage project that's for the whole city. But, you know, those types of signs, you know, down on sort of the street scale or, you know, kind of, that'll be, you know, very likely one of the things that they talk about.
Okay, because that'd be very important, even for you, Steve, with your new place, is letting people know where you are back there.
Yeah, sure. Okay, but I will in my case.
Yeah.
Okay. So we won't be making a motion, but
Right.
we would like to pass on these suggestions. And you might want to go through it one more time, Bill, but just,
But can I say
Yeah.
something? Because you know the building, it's Kevin, I don't remember his name, the owner. After you have the first level. If I understand, you want to put the sign on the first level between the first and first and second level, that's right? You want to do something?
Yeah, like that. That's what he wants
Yes,
to do.
okay, got it. But this, I know to agree, because if you're walking on the street, imagine you're walking, the sign for,
Blocks, you know,
after it's my insurance.
yeah.
I know you want to take care for another business, for the restaurant, like a steakhouse, you have sign like this. But after this building, you know what she did for the sign for Amish, she did 4x4. It's very nice, and after I follow, because for me it was okay. And I said, I need to have something very nice and at the same scale, but without like whatever, but it's different things. But figure out when you're going on 149, when you're walking, because we are just, the road it's more level, and the building is like this down, you see it's exactly for the view for somebody walking or
Right.
driving, you're on the view. But if you're going upper,
Well, he has a sign
but
right at his door,
yeah,
but you cannot see that.
yes, but now I could, whatever.
But,
I'm
yeah.
not in a position.
Yeah. But what I'm trying to do is, you know, I'm not trying to keep anybody from advertising, I mean, in the market, because it's rough out there, I know. You know, to try to get exposure. Just like, down the road, if you want to come and put something up there, we want to keep it cohesive so it's not,
Yeah, sure, I understand. But this building, imagine I got two, a 3/4, and she got 1/4 for the whole face, in front of you. And just to adjust, to put your sign, to have a life scale just balance on this building with a brick is, for me,
Right.
better. After you're holding on this way,
yeah.
I think
Well,
so we need
yeah,
something,
but,
with the window, everything.
Well, yes, so thank you for that input, and I think one of the suggestions will be, just like on the next issue that's coming up on the 4x4 sign, it being on a wall seems to make a big difference. It fits right there. This one, I did measure, if they went a little smaller and put a frame around it, they might look at the option of putting it on the wall above that window, because somehow on a wall, it doesn't jump out so
what are
much.
we going to do about these guys?
Well, they can do whatever they want. Well, that's a different setup. Oh, you're saying, but nobody told them they had to do that.
Right. They didn't ask for approval.
No, what I'm saying is, instead of right there, I got back on the parking, Jacobs, from 149 or from the parking lot, this line here is equal to, you could actually put that sign on the wall and you'd see it. So my point is, go a little smaller, put a frame around it, and on a wall, it maybe looks better than hanging down on. If they can't do your first option of on here, if they can do up here, that's great, but I don't know if they can do that. So what I'm saying is, when you go back, suggestions would be, if they can get permission from the building owner, on that deck or that facade, whatever that thing's called, so it's a little higher, but it's not hanging anymore. It's on a surface. If they can't do that, I'm just suggesting they go a little smaller with a frame and go above this window.
What are you going to do with these?
What do you mean?
They've got them, and I don't believe that was ever brought before us.
Oh,
Okay.
So they haven't got permission for that yet. Right.
Who are we talking about there?
Studemont. The needle point stuff, they have little shingle. So if you tell this guy he can't, somebody's going to have to go back and,
Yeah.
So
Oh, no, I'm not saying,
there a while, right?
no, I'm not saying he can't hang it. I'm just saying
Okay.
he might consider.
well, yeah,
his
that's up to
options.
him. He's
Yeah.
got 3 options.
Yeah, I'm not saying you can't hang it.
Right, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
three options.
Okay.
Hang it, or, okay. So I think Dave's got that.
Yeah.
So you guys can either take no action, or you can table it with the direction you've already given, and we'll bring it back.
Yep.
Let's table it.
Yeah. Okay?
And you're going to speak to them and come back to us.
All right. So that motion was from Miriam?
We didn't-
Miriam,
yeah.
second. Oh,
We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? The motion passes. Thank you. Thank you, Dave. Item number 4, consideration and possible action on proposed signage for H Bistro located at 401 College Street, Suite 150 in the Historic Preservation District.
Members of the commission, you have the information in your packet, and Mr. Steve, the applicant, is here. Steve, if you'll go to the podium, that way your voice will pick up on the microphone, and you guys can feel free to ask him any thoughts or questions that you have.
Yeah. Okay, good evening, thank you so much. Okay, alors, I'm the owner for H Wines on the Liberty Street for now 4 years. Quickly. And we have another project. We would like to open a new bar in downtown. It was the place for Gina Wiki. And Gina, she's moving to our vineyards because she has a facility. And I set up with a new business partner, a new LLC. It's the H Bistro. And we have one bar in Huntsville. And we decided to open a second location here in downtown. Why? Because the customer asked to have a full concept bar, like because we provide wine, beer, and liquor. And I said, okay, this space is available, and we're moving forward to open a new bar in downtown. Now, it's my turn for the sign. And when I saw the sign for the Amish, for the cheese, I said, oh, it should be okay, because the sign, now it's on the wall. I took dimension, I said 4 by 4. I'm not going on plexiglass. Why? Because I don't want to have light when you provide everything around. And when I saw the package, I said, oh, I need a contractor for electricity, everything. I said, no, I don't want to do on this way. Just only to do a metal sign. It's on aluminium with white on the back and the color, perhaps you have a logo in front of you. And to have something just classy, with a nice color just to match with the brick, and again the same shape, 4 by 4. And that's it, you know. And after what I said, again the level, okay, if we're going on the second, for the second level to have this kind, because it should be 2 by 4, or perhaps more, bigger, but we need to have authorization for the owner. I don't know really if you want to have this on the face, on the top. On the wall, I asked him, he said, yes, you can, but I never asked on the top. And we'll see after you decide. But for me, it should be just only if we change my logo, it disappears. Because my logo, you see it's around, just by like City of Montgomery, what you got on the back for you. And if we just reduce something rectangular 2 by 4, perhaps, I don't know, different dimension, should be like this, HB through, that's it. I think so we miss everything, but it's my point.
I like the sign.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
It's going to look great.
You know, the 4x4 is great.
Yes, we try to do something, you know, not very, not too much, you know, just only classy and just to have a
Just
good
clean, classy, goes with downtown.
Yeah, you know,
Keeps
we
it
try to
character.
take care for historic downtown.
So you're going to have wine, spirits, and beer,
Yes, sir.
and sit-down areas, and do you have any plans for sit-down and entertainment, that type of thing?
Yes, inside, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but you know, for the same service when we provide for to have a band, everything, but just only the other of things, it's beer and liquor. It's different license, it's a retail license, and we're just starting application for TABC, but because now everything is done for the city, for the health department, fire. I'm waiting now for the city for the certificate of occupancy, that's right. And after we are done, and the TABC is starting this week. And I hope we are all ready for mid-March.
I will make a motion to approve the signage as presented at H Bistro at 401 College Street, Suite 150.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? The motion passes. Thank you. Good luck. Looking forward to it. All right. Item number 5. Consideration and possible action on a revised design for the proposed home at 704 Caroline Street, located in the Historic Preservation District.
Members of the commission, you saw this at your last meeting, and there were a couple design changes that the commission requested, namely the garage roof, or it was a single slope roof that you asked them to mirror the house, which they've done. And they would also like to discuss with you guys some of the siding and the window comments that you had. The applicants are here tonight, the Sellecks are here. I'll ask them to come to the podium and they can either answer questions or talk more about the changes that they made.
Good to see you again.
Hi,
Thank you.
members of the commission, thank you.
Sorry about my hair.
So I think you have in front of you the revisions, right? And I think one of the things that we discussed that you requested was a color selection, so I believe there's the colors are there, the Sherwin-Williams colors are there. Didn't know if there was any questions about that. We only plan on using 2 colors, so those are there. Pretty simple. And then you have on, I don't know if it was the whole packet, 1 through, my page 30 was your page 30, from what you sent me. But the revised garage roof, you have a rear and a front elevation.
Yes.
Okay.
So your base dirt is going to match the.
Okay, perfect.
So that is page 30, right?
Okay.
That's right, I was going to ask you that.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. So, do you know if you had any questions about that? I mean, we love it. We're,
No, that looks great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
yeah. And then, backing up to page 25, we wanted to show you there's really 2 rear view window options from the back of the house. After we changed the roof line on the garage, you can see that from the back. And then over in the addition, in the great room, the 2 window options that we were talking about last time were the angled windows that kind of, go with the roof line and give you kind of a picture window view out that back, or the more linear, traditional paned windows like that. And we just wanted to share with you that we prefer the angled windows.
I want to say why.
Right, well, exactly what I was going to say. Go ahead.
When we designed the house, those windows, we weren't trying to achieve a modern look. We were never trying to achieve a modern look. The windows are essentially for the best visibility possible into the backyard, since it is a large lot and it's very long. We do plan on landscaping it and making it look pretty nice back there. So the way the house is designed is that when you walk up the stairs to the 2nd story, there's going to be a balcony where you can stand and look into the living room and out towards the backyard. We were afraid that if we had those square windows with a ton of panes, it would just minimize the visibility to the backyard.
But what you're proposing here is the angled in the back elevation and the traditional windows in the front.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes.
that's fine. Okay, yep,
Yeah,
yep,
yeah. That makes good
that
sense.
makes sense. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fine.
you get advantage of the view.
And the backyard is the north side, too, of the house, so we really wanted to try to pull some of that sunlight in the back side since it is the north side.
Okay.
Yes, yes. And just even for future too, we know that some of these, we've had a number of really nice new houses done, and sometimes they don't necessarily always have the panes. And I did do a drive around college, those 2 that were done a while back. So a lot of people nowadays do want to take advantage of the, on the back side especially.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
The one other point that the commission discussed last time was the siding. There was kind of there was the board and bat that was vertical on the 1st floor, and then it was a horizontal kind of slat siding on the upper floor. In the renderings that you saw, the bottom floor was a different color than the top floor. And so just pointing out, again, the color choices is all of the walls would be the darker color. So there would be a difference in the pattern of the siding, but there wouldn't be a difference in the color of the siding like there was in the initial previews. So that's one of the things that they wanted to ask the commission about, was your thoughts on allowing.
What page? 31?
30.
30?
30.
Right, you can see it on 30 there, where you've got the
Where it's
kind
2
of
different
board and
tones.
bat, and then
So it'll be the base will be one solid color, then the trim will be the lighter.
Yeah, and I mentioned to Dave that in the renders that we had sent you, the colors that we chose pretty much followed what that looks like. It's very simple. And I actually drove around also in the neighborhood, and there were several houses that had use of both sidings as well. So.
The cozy grade right there has vertical on the bottom and horizontal on the top, and some of those historic buildings even have tile in the gable that are 3 different colors. So
I guess, sitting back and looking from the last time, I mean, it looks busy on paper, but it's I can see it'll be it's not not going to be that drastic of a look, especially if it's the same color.
It's a good point. I thought the same thing at the time, but then you have to think about it. I think because of the size of the house, my assumption was when you were trying to break it up a little bit too, because of the size. It gives it that, instead of all being one thing. Yeah,
Okay. All right.
great.
Is this to approve for final design? Is everything, okay.
Yes, we want to be clear about that. This is for the final design.
Yeah,
Yes.
final approval.
Yes.
So again, the one thing to point out would be the window option, if you're okay, just if you make that part of the motion, then
Yeah.
it's.
Yeah, just, your part of the motion is that they keep the picture windows in the rear and the traditional in the front, as per the drawings.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful property. I love board and batten. I think that's very classic. I like the mixed materials. I like the colors you chose. I think the angled windows are going to be stunning. So I move to approve the design with angled windows in the back.
I second.
We have a motion and we have a second. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? No opposition. The motion passes. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Of course. And looking forward to seeing it.
So do we.
All right. Item number 6, consideration and possible action on a recommendation to City Council on a side yard setback variance request for the Montgomery Bend, an 80-acre single-family residential development.
Members of the commission, you heard this feasibility study last summer. The developer's currently in the process of doing the clearing and grubbing work and are working on approval of their grading plans. And one of the things that we had mentioned in the feasibility study is that these are 45-foot wide lots. One of the things that did not get put in the development agreement along with those 45-foot lots were any type of a reduced side yard. So the side yard is required to be 10 feet by ordinance. On a 45-foot wide lot, that would leave you a 25-foot wide building envelope. And so the developer's back to request. Certainly it was contemplated. I can't say that it wasn't. It's just it didn't end up as a part of the agreement. So the developers are here. They'll be happy to answer any questions or talk through their thought process with you guys.
Good evening. I'm Connor Young. I'm on the acquisition and development team for Pulte, and Brian Williams here on the development team is joining us. Yeah, kind of like Dave was saying, we're moving right along with clearing and detention and drainage plans. We're very excited about the project, and I brought the presentation that we made last time to y'all in October. And what I wanted to clarify in the presentation, and I think we mentioned it, I was listening to the audio, is we are doing two different products out here. One is a 30-foot wide building product, and the other is a 35-foot wide building product. So, excuse me, on the 30-foot building product, naturally there will be a 7.5-foot setback between houses, and then on the 35, we'll need 5 foot. So what we decided to do is to request 5 foot across the board for the entire development, so that as we start to build homes, we can, not be limited to one lot or another that we have to put the product on. And generally, we either release them in blocks or we alternate those products, kind of depending on demand and how we phase out the development. So with that, we're very excited to kind of keep moving forward and break ground on our detention pond, and let me know what questions I can answer.
How big are the homes?
So In the presentation, you know, the lineup hasn't changed, it's just, we did close the loop. So the 30-foot wide products are anywhere from about 1,200 to the largest ones, 2,000 square foot. And then on the 35-foot homes, smallest is 1,400 and largest is about 2,600 square feet.
And you're talking about one side of this being either 5 or 7.5 feet?
So what we wanted to do is request an across-the-board 5-foot so that we could fit both products on any lot throughout the development. And that
So
would,
someone driving down in there is not going to say, oh, man, they have you want it to be uniform.
correct.
Where someone can't go, well, you got 7.5 and I got 5.
Yeah, and then, of course, on the lots that we build, the 30-foot wide product, you know, we can pick one side or split the difference depending on utilities, driveway placement, and other conflicts.
I also see in here that there is a suggestion that if you do get this approved, that other equipment wouldn't be allowed on the smaller side, but you just said that you were going to try to equal them out. Is that something that you were going to do, or you just
I'm sorry.
suggested? It says the city can place conditions on a reduced side yard, such as not allowing air conditioners, generators, or other equipment in the smaller side yards.
Yes. So I believe all of our building products have the AC units and all of the associated equipment in the back so that there would be an encroachment. I'd like to double check that just to be 100% sure, but I don't think that'll be an issue. And we generally like to keep them out of the sides because of the size.
Dave, is that something that we have to have written somewhere so that that's
It
adhered
would be part
to?
of your recommendation, if that's what the commission wanted to do, you would make that a part of your recommendation.
Okay.
And again, since we're doing this for the entire subdivision, as opposed to a single variance request, this is going to end up, the P&Z is acting on it just like it's a variance recommendation. What we would likely do is to go back and amend the development agreement, to put that in the development agreement, since it does affect the entire subdivision. But that condition, if it was, you recommend approval of a, say, the 5-yard side setback, and you didn't want the equipment there, then that's what the council would get to consider when they made the decision on it.
Good question, because I just wanted to get clarification too. Let me just ask one more thing, and Bill, maybe you remember better, but about 6 years ago, the first phase, Lake Creek, now we ended up with what we refer to as 0 lot lines, and that was, that wasn't one person's fault, but it was something that happened from way back, I think. I'm not sure how it happened. That was before my time.
Yeah, that was supposed to be a retirement community.
But I guess my only question is, I just want to be clear, because when I saw this, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, 5 foot up for each property for a total of 10 foot between the houses. So, but we're going to average 7.5, is that?
So,
Or,
yeah,
It's not average.
two
It's
different
5.
things. So, yeah, our traditional is 5 foot from each property, so you'd have 10 feet minimum between the homes.
yeah,
Then obviously if we put a 30 foot and a 35 foot next to each other, you have 5 plus 7.5 split.
oh, okay.
Or I'm sorry, 5 plus 7.5 between the homes. So,
And of course, well, the reason this comes up is because of drainage issues in the
Sure,
past.
yeah.
And they worked it out, but it is something that we, as you're well aware, that drainage is an issue.
yeah, and so, and like I said, I'd like to double check on the equipment. I'm looking at the renderings, I think I'm almost positive they're on the back. The other thing that is worth mentioning, because it is a concern that we dealt with in some other places, one thing we do that some other folks don't do is we bench our lots a lot higher than other folks, which allows us to make those side lot swales steeper than your traditional 1%, just to help keep drainage moving, to help keep things from building up in those swales. And that's just, you know, we run into it with other developments and it being a problem, and that's why we design our lots and our grading that way. Because we don't want to deal with it, so that might be kind of another thing to include.
Yeah, it's obviously in everybody's best interest, including
So,
yourself.
Do you know how many right now that you would have to do if we said, hey, we're going to recommend 7.5 for the, you know, for the 30, and we're going to recommend 5 for the 35.5? Or do you know how many would be like that? It sounds like you don't. Right now, we don't have 30, 30, 30, 30, 30. We have 35, 30, right? Yeah.
But Brian Williams, I'm the Director of Development for Pulte. Let me speak to that for a second. As far as that goes, they're all 45-foot wide lots today. So, you know, we have not pre-planned everything out. You know, our accounting people just for, you know, we're still so preliminary because we haven't set our finalized pricing or anything. They have some numbers, but they're just, at this point, they're just theoretic of what we're going to do. So, you know, obviously, we're going to see what the market is whenever we do open up for sale. It'll be early in 2024. So at this point, we don't have it all lined out as to what, okay, they're all going to be 45-foot wide lots.
Okay.
So which ones are going to have the 30-foot wide lots and the 35-foot wide lot, or house plans? We don't know.
Okay.
I just want, and just to kind of go back, just so there's no confusion among the commission, I want to make sure the minimum in between from house to house is going to be 10 feet. There's not going to just, so the 5-foot build line setback is not, it's not like there's going to be 5 foot and then another house. We can't do that. And we wouldn't even dream of doing that with, you know, drainage. We are very, very sensitive to drainage. I would challenge, I'm proud of what we do at Pulte. I mean, I would challenge you to see once we do get finished, come out and look at how beautiful these things are. The pad is flat. There's side yard swales cut about 14 to 18 inches. And it looks like, I mean, it looks exactly like you would imagine. I see other builders come up to us or developers and they say, well, that costs a lot of money. I'm like, yeah, but we don't have to worry about it on the backside. So we spend the money up front, and you know, so whenever we do get to that point, I encourage you, whenever you're in the area, drop by and just look at it. It's a pretty impressive operation. So, but I did want to clarify that there is not going to be 5 foot in another house. It's 10 foot in between every single house.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great.
So,
We're not going. I don't think so.
You know, 5 foot on either side, so you're always going to have 10.
Yep.
And then in some cases, you'll have 15. I guess in theory, you have 7.
yeah, so the spacing is going to depend on the houses,
Yes.
not the lots.
Yes, but minimum is going to be 10 foot.
Okay.
I got you.
Well, my recommendation is to make sure where your equipment's going to be.
Yeah.
Can
and,
we get clarification on that?
Sure. We can work on that, and then also, just so, you know, Pulte, we started this a couple years ago. Everything, it'll all be hidden from the street. I mean, if there were to be an occasional issue where it was on the side, which I don't think, I'll back Connor on that, but I'm just a lawn guy. I don't know. I know the size of the lots, but you know where the AC unit is and everything, I'm not sure. But we can check on that for you, but, you know, everything will be fenced off. We don't, there was a time back before some management changes where we put the fences at the back, and then you'd see the AC unit, you'd see the electric meter, and our division president came through and said, Brian, I never want to see that again. All right, done. Fence to the front, and you take care of it, so we can get clarification on that stuff. Any other questions, or?
Am I understanding correctly that a variance is going to be required anyways based on the product type that you guys are building out there? And I don't even know if it's feasible to build something that would allow for the setbacks, right?
No, it's really not. And we actually did some research. I mean, there's other subdivisions in the city of Montgomery that have plots that have the 5-foot side setbacks. I mean, this is not something new, I don't think, to the city of Montgomery either. And no, I don't think we offer a 25-foot.
Yeah, so it's necessary to have this variance anyways.
Yeah, and today's point, you know, this would be a variance that we would just, so we don't have to keep on coming back for every section. It would just be it would be an amendment to or added to, I guess, an amendment to our development agreement with the city.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you for that
Thank you.
explanation. Looking forward to having Pulte here. It's nice to have a quality, we know you're a quality prior. So,
We're very excited to be here.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so,
So I move to approve the variance request for side lots being reduced to a minimum of 5 feet.
Second?
we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say.
Wait a minute, plus the
Can we, yeah, with the condition?
Oh, yeah.
conditions on the equipment being in the back.
Yes.
Yeah. With condition of equipment being moved to the rear of the property, out of line of vision.
Recommendation to council.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. The motion passes. Thank you. Okay, next up would be commission inquiry. And just a couple things real quick. I was wondering if there might be a possibility of having a workshop with the city council or MEDC or both. I listened in on the last city council meeting, and there was some discussion about Lone Star Parkway and things coming and zoning. So my thought is, I think it would be really a good timing for us to kind of get together on that, because it's been a while, and it was, gosh, way back when the new community center came in, 9 years ago, there's been kind of a movement towards, I'll keep this brief, but just for a quick history, up around to the left where Larry Jacobs had gotten permission to do the little bungalow cottages, and there was going to be a small retail in the front. And now the reason this came up at city council was because of the one we're looking at now up on the corner. But there were some comments that I think would be important for us to get together, because some people were looking at, they thought it was supposed to be all industrial. But, it's something we need to talk about, because there are some things happening with residential and retail, light commercial, possibly light industry. But I'm just wondering, maybe with the new city administrator, it might be a good time to have a workshop.
Absolutely.
The only other thing I had was, Marion brought this up, since we do signs, we were talking about the kiosk right there in town. With all the renovations going on, my question is, who's responsible for the little sign kiosk behind Cozy Grave? Some of those signs, they haven't been updated. Some of those businesses have moved.
Right, I believe that was the HMBA. It's, for all practical purposes, probably city property. Becky asked me if she could do something on the backside.
Yeah.
For sure.
There's a map, but it doesn't really tell you where the businesses are. And it's kind of, to be honest, it's just kind of confusing. But like Barber John moved, he's way down 105. He's still on there.
Right.
There's about 6 that are not even open anymore. So, maybe it's time. And I don't mean to be critical. Maybe it's time to look at that, because it came up tonight with that idea of maybe, like Bill said, something up on the road that maybe lists all the businesses.
Right.
So if we could look at that.
I will bring that to MEPC and with the Public Works guys and a little bit of money from the EDC, we can stabilize it enough to where, again, kind of how it fits into into the overall design of downtown or the redesign of downtown. Maybe it's, served its purpose and it's, now time to be something else. But certainly if there's businesses that we can just go down there and just take the names off and just make sure it, again, just looks nice and presentable until we find a final solution for what the Town Street corridor will be. We'll be glad to.
All right. But yeah, I think the workshop, it just seems timely. A lot of these things we're looking at are 5 to 10 years out even, but there's already been, we all think back 10 years ago. And these things,
Sure.
they happen, they take time.
And I will speak with Gary about that. I know that, he and I have kind of kicked that idea around, as well as there's been some council members who want to get together with you guys and the EDC there's EDC members who want to get together with you guys in council. So hopefully this spring we can find the time to make it all happen.
All right.
I did have an inquiry on the sign issue because it piqued my interest. So remember when we were talking about secondary signs or what was it, off-site signs? I don't know if something is, I'm just wondering out loud, if it's not a business sign with the business name, is that a secondary sign? And is there something in the code that would prohibit or restrict or limit
You know,
display of that?
Off-site sign?
Yeah, maybe it was off-site.
Yeah.
I don't know. Looking at the cheese Amish, it doesn't have, the name of that establishment. And so should that be limited in scale and scope? Maybe that's something for the code to be, revised, or I don't know.
Certainly need to update that sign ordinance. It's been, kind of very cumbersome to even interpret.
Yeah.
You do get, the one thing that I'll say that with signs in general is it will always come down to free speech. They're very, very difficult to regulate content. There are some boundaries that, that you guys were able to kind of steer, especially with the historic district. But in general, signs and, what's on them gets, there's not a good record of court cases where cities win when they try to restrict signage too much.
Yeah.
But to your point, having kind of you get, your business name, there's a very clear path to, if a secondary sign is allowed here, what it can be in the scale. Certainly something we can look
That's
at.
what, yeah. Because, the next thing might be like, oh, let's put our hours in, the biggest font we can put on the side of the building, it's like,
Right.
I don't know. Just, yeah. And I didn't look at the code, so maybe I should.
That's a good point, though.
But it gets kind of convoluted because you want it to be historic, you want it to go within the character, and people are trying to also increase their business. They have to live too, and there's got to be a happy medium.
Yeah. I think if it's all done tastefully, it's, just like the ATM thing,
Yeah,
where it started and where it got to, where,
it's two different signs.
yeah.
I mean, literally. I seen that on the agenda tonight and I went, and I scrolled, I went, oh, okay.
That was good ending.
All right.
All right.
I move to adjourn.
Oh,
One more thing. My dad was a mayor in his city in France. We discussed about sign in a business like a little village like here. And what he did with the city and the business owner, because the city was paid the position, labor, and after each business pay a sign. If you don't pay, you are not signage. And it's just a deal, 50-50. You want to be on it, on the city, take care. It's you pay something and the business pays something. And after you are your update for business. We have new.
Right.
This is your sign. You propose. You want? No, I have no contract. You have no your name. It's idea. Just
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah.
For what we said, you remember to do signage for the business in the street, something like this. After you just moving, okay, it's done, new, but it's not your sign. You work for the owner, and the new owner purchases a new, and you do it.
Right.
Same color, same design, or whatever.
Right. Yeah, that's like on that building. Yeah.
Yep.
I agree.
Thank you. All right.
Motion on the floor?
Yeah.
we did.
We did, second.
We have a second.
I know what the motion was.
Adjourn.
And a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
All right.
All right. Good meeting. Thank you.